Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Yesshift. I'm Steven Schinder, my dad is Dan Schinder. We are back after a bit of a break, and a lot has happened. The thing that's been hitting Yes fandom the most as of late is the recent passing of Alan White. And it had been announced a few days beforehand that Alan would not be up for the tour because he'd have to take care of his health. It was still surprising that he passed away as soon as he did. So we set aside a time to broadcast our tribute to Alan White. We had some technical issues at the start, but thanks to editing, you won't have to endure that. So just join us in remembering Alan White. Alan was such a huge part of Yes. He joined in 1972, and this was going to be like 50 years of him being in the band. And, with all this stuff happening, him not being able to do it, and, his kit being stolen, it was just, it's just so much weight to
process.
It's like I have no idea if the people who did that with it, like took his kit, know how despicable it is. It's just,
well, even more so now. And folks,
yeah.
we Steve and I both know that there's people much closer to Alan than we are. I'm getting that weird notification again. Steven and I both know that there's people much closer to Alan than we are. I've known Alan since 1989. There's a picture of me with him right there. When Alan was 42, I was 27. In fact, I'll pull up a larger version of that picture real quick. Holding my son, Alex, who is 4.5 years older than Steve. And yeah, that's me with a little bit of hair and old lady glasses. And Alex has grown since then. He's 5'8.5", 250 pounds. Alan was like 17 years younger than I am now. But we know that there's people much closer to Alan. We're not dumb, but like all Yes fans, this has still had an impact on us just as Yes fans, and people who Yes music has been, and other music that Alan has played on has been part of the soundtrack of our life. So we wanted to do this episode and honor Alan. And, maybe what we'll do right off the bat, let's honor him by showing a bit of a drum solo from 1998. This is from the Open Your Eyes tour in Budapest from Ritual. So have a little fun with this, and we'll be right back. you go. Bit of ritual there for you.
Yeah, you can definitely hear bits of ritual in there. Within the context of that concert, it's like after Whitefish and before Owner of a Lonely Heart.
Right. That's right.
Yeah,
I remember now. Yeah.
yeah. So I guess right off the bat, like, I don't know where you want to start, but just a reminder, folks, if you want to share your memories and thoughts of Alan White in the chat, feel free to share. Like, this is, all of us here are reminiscing about Alan. I see that Jonathan Robles had such amazing sound resonance back in the days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny that 98 is back in the day. Steve
Yeah,
was 4.
Oh my gosh, it makes me feel so old now. Like the 90s are becoming the new 80s in that regard.
1880s.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I want to, if I could, I'll kind of get a bit of the ball rolling. We'll work backwards in history a little bit.
Okay.
I want to show a couple pictures. So as I mentioned, in case you missed it, I've known Alan since 1989. And when I started Drum Talk TV in January of 2013, it wasn't long before I reached out to Alan, asked him to be on the show. He had been on the show many times, became a huge supporter. And in January of 2020, I gave him Drum Talk TV's first award, the Prague Legacy Award, at the Drum Talk TV booth. Drum Talk TV is the largest online media company covering the world of drumming. That was just a blast. So there's me laughing with Alan, giving him his award. He told a few stories. Here's Alan. Alan hung out for about an hour and a half or so. There was a line of over 200 people around our booth who knew Alan was coming. Alan didn't know he was coming. I connived this with his wife, Gigi. She somehow kept it from him and said, let's go see Dan at the Drum Talk TV booth. Brought him, and there's this line of people started cheering. They brought memorabilia and all this stuff. So Alan, we gave him a table, and there he is with the award, signing all kinds of things, everything from ticket stubs to shirts to album covers and things like that. And here's a photo of Alan with some of our crew behind him. There's Steven and I in the back. And he was just, here's the thing about Alan. He was so gracious. And actually, I left this out. I should tell this story. This picture here of me holding my other son, Alex, when Alex was 2 weeks old. This is in 1990. Alex's birthday is 2 days after Alan's. Alan's is June 14th.
Oh, right.
Alex is June 16th. Yeah, 1990. And when I went to the door, and I think Gigi took this picture. I don't think your mom was with me. When I went to the door, that's not what Alan was wearing. He was wearing Speedos under those shorts, without the shorts, and a scuba tank. And I joked. I said, Alan, in America, we celebrate Halloween in October. I don't know what you do in England. What's this? And he says, oh, I was just suiting up because I'm going down to my neighbor's pool to fix their drain. That's the kind of guy Alan was. But this is the first time he saw Alex. He had met my wife and I on Thanksgiving Day that November before. We had just found out she was pregnant. So he and Gigi kind of followed the journey. My parents lived around the corner from Alan. I did not grow up in a ritzy area. I grew up in West Hills, California. It's at the west end of the San Fernando Valley. But Alan, very humble guy, his California home was there, a couple blocks from my parents. We lived on the hill behind him, basically. So I would frequently go there and, talk, and became friends with Alan. And then when Alex was born, so that's the story behind that picture. And then over the years, as I mentioned, Alan was on the show quite a few times. And usually we would do those interviews at the NAMM show or after sound check before Yes went on at various different concerts. I know there's a couple others. But yeah, just very heavy news. That's all I can say. So share your stories. And Steve, before we read some things, we're going to read some quotes. Maybe some of these you saw, folks. Maybe some of them you haven't. Some quotes by band members and things. But, let's talk as Yes fans. What's your favorite work by Alan? If you could narrow it down to either a song or an album, he's worked with a lot of people before he was with Yes and a little bit since. Obviously, narrow it down. Yes is probably your favorite artist he's worked with, as is with me, right? Right. Okay. So we got that narrowed down. What about your favorite, if you could encapsulate one album thinking of his drumming, not necessarily the songs and all of that as Yes as a band, but if you just look at it through the Alan's drumming lens, what would that be?
Right. I've said before that Tales is my favorite Yes album. I do think there is some great drumming on there, especially on The Ancient and Ritual. So I think that's definitely a candidate. Relayer is also a possibility. Like, it just gets so, heavy and chaotic in such a good way. Like the drumming just sounds like it's like right there.
And then you've got Soon. And that's a testament to not just the band, but Alan's drumming. There's a lot of that on Tales with those dynamics that are just everywhere.
Yeah, so I think it would definitely be between those two albums. What do you think?
Yeah, me too. But having said that, looking at it even a little bit differently, if we look at it, the fact that you look at the Yes Songs film and you realize that he joined the band with 3 days notice to learn everything. And that was filmed only a few months after he joined and started playing that. That's pretty extraordinary. That's signs of a great studio musician who can just show up, do what they're told, show up, sight read, show up, contribute with their own creativity. But he did it first in a live setting with them. And then after the tour, hey, we're going to make a new album. It's going to be a double album. Each side is one song and it's one long story. You're in, right, Alan? And so, there's so many different ways to look at this, but those three instances I think are monumental. Folks, what do you think? Remove Yes as a band from that question. And if you can, just look at it, listen to it with Alan's drumming and musicality as a drummer, and let us know what you think.
Right. I see that Christine Burbano Jeffrey says Relayer. Douglas Reed says Tormato sounded good. Tormato, like release is such a, because Alan has that moment where it's a drum solo, right? And they add like the
crowd.
Yeah, the crowd for whatever reason. It might sound cheesy, but I think because we're used to it, there's like charm to it. But yeah, he's got some great stuff on Tormato.
Silent Wings of Freedom.
Yes.
Future Times Rejoice is one of my favorite Yes things to play out of their whole catalog. And I played everything in their catalog, basically. This past Sunday, the 29th, right? Yeah, I think that was the 29th. Yeah. We did a memorial tribute on Drum Talk TV, and I played for 2 hours and 40 minutes to different Yes songs. Later, Steve will drop that link in the comments. You can watch that. For those of you who don't know much about me, you're welcome. But I'm the founder and executive producer of Drum Talk TV, the largest online media company covering the world of drumming. And one of the things I do is a live show with the audience. I play to stuff and break stuff down. So whenever it's Alan's birthday, and just the day before yesterday, I did the John Bonham tribute on the 31st for his birthday. Certain favorite artists of mine like them, and they're way at the top, along with Carl Palmer, who we just had on yesterday. Was that yesterday?
Yeah, it feels like a long time ago.
It does.
Yeah, we and you let me talk to him before that interview, and we were talking about how like the Royal Affair tour, which was incidentally was the last tour that Alan played on.
Right.
He played on a few songs, even played Imagine. Like we were talking about how it was a great tour, and like I didn't realize that they wanted to bring it to Europe but couldn't because of like ticket sales or something. For some reason I thought it was planned to be just the US, but
the way he explained it was interesting. Yeah,
but that was Like the show that I saw on that tour, it was in Irvine, and it was actually the second to last show. So I guess that would have been Alan's second to last Yes show. You know, that was before
Yeah.
the like all the delays and everything because of the
COVID and
pandemic.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other comments? And I'm going to pull up a couple other pictures and narrate. These are the pictures I saved, not the ones you sent. I'll let you call those out when you're ready. But when you have a comment from a fan, just jump on in. I'll bring up a photo of Alan from the second leg of the Tormato Tour in 1979 on his wooden shell Ludwig kit. This is 1979 in the round. I love that picture.
Yeah, and Christina from earlier says saw part of that tribute to, you know, the Drum Talk TV one.
Was that Christina
yeah.
Angelina by any chance?
No, Christina Burbano Jeffrey
Oh.
earlier. So, yeah, saw part of that, really enjoyed the tribute. And Douglas Reed mentioned is like, what about drama? Like, yeah, there's some great Alan stuff on there too with Mashima Saya. Doesn't really happen.
Tempest Fugit.
Yeah, however it's pronounced. Like, I've been questioning myself over it recently.
Yeah, because
everyone knows the song.
Yeah, Trevor Horn introduces as Trevor Fugit. Oh, good God. We're still a little, as we say in Yiddish, vermished over this whole thing, you know, which is causing us to be a little verblungent. Here's a photo of Alan with John Lennon and Yoko Ono on his premiere drum kit, set up really weirdly, in fact. I'm not sure what's going on there. He had to be like 18 or 19 years old there. In fact, I think it was 19. Here's one of my favorites. And Steve, I know you can't see the screen. Well, you can on the monitor.
Oh, yeah, I see it on the stream.
I've been threatening to make a meme out of this, and I don't remember if I ever did. But folks, give a caption for this. Alan in the front of the golf cart. There's no one in the driver's seat. Patrick is behind. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, that's at the JFK Stadium, which I believe is one of their most like
attended
biggest audience, if not their biggest audience. Like, that's a famous one.
Yeah. And that was, you know, obviously in the evening before the show started, maybe afterwards. I don't know. They both look pretty sweaty and it's dark. So
yeah, it was 76. Yeah. Patrick shared that this week.
Yeah. So yeah, wherever you want to go from here, Steve.
Yeah. Well, I guess another like drum solo moment I want to mention was, you know, when the first Yes concert I saw was the Yes and Asia tour in 2009, and Alan had a really cool drum solo in the middle of Astral Traveler, so it was kind of like a mix of old and new in a sense. You know, they were bringing back something like from way, way back, but also like refreshing it by injecting that into it. And yeah, I'm just like looking at comments real quick before we move on.
Here's a picture of Alan with his family not too long ago. That's his wife, Gigi, of course. And Jesse, his son, Cassie, his daughter, who's a doctor now. And I knew them when they were toddlers. I remember being over there. Are you able
to like drag it down a little bit?
Yeah, so that... I remember being over at the house and the kids were playing outside and Alan came out and said, yeah, they just came down with the chicken pox. I had not had the chicken pox before. So I was a little like, oh, okay, well, I gotta go. I gotta go do something. And I waited a little while before I went back.
Yeah, so that, you know, as I just want to bring up, you know, as terrible as the whole kit being stolen thing was, you know, at least from everything we've seen, there are like so many tributes to Alan that we see that so many people loved him and he impacted so many people very positively, and it's just overwhelming in a good way. Like, well, it's twofold. Like, on one hand, it cements that he has passed away, but on the other hand, it cements that he was such a great guy who had such a great, you know, a relationship with people, and it was a kind man. And
exactly, I was just going to say that. He was just a very kind man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll get back to comments. Go ahead and share anything you want having to do with Alan. Steve will read them in the comments. You want to read some of the quotes from some of the band members? You want to go there?
Right, yeah. So most of these can be found on yesworld.com, and a couple others were in other social media places. But basically, I picked out quotes from them here and there that I thought were interesting because, we'd be here all night if we read the full tributes. It's just so great how lengthy they are. But I figured, like, I just jotted down the things that stood out to me most, I guess. So, first up, Bill Bruford, of course, Alan's immediate predecessor, mentioned he took over the reins and Yes at short notice after I moved on, and by all accounts didn't make a fuss when he had to learn the band's repertoire in about 3 days. And yeah, that's very impressive. Like Alan's first concert was, well, first Yes concert, of course, was in Dallas on July 30th, 1972. So yeah, the 50th anniversary of that's coming up. I found recordings on YouTube. They're a bit murky. I'm not sure if there's a better source.
What's the audio
somewhere,
like?
But, it sounds like whoever recorded was like very distant from the stage, but you can still tell like what songs they are. But in any case, it's still nice to have a document of that. And earlier we were talking about Relayer. So Patrick Moraz, keyboardist at the time, said, one of the things that I especially liked about Alan was that he was never afraid to explore fresh, original, and unfamiliar sonic territories.
And I want to comment on that. Steve, put that link in the comments if you can, because there's a link to the making of Relayer.
Yeah, and this is from a site called Music Aficionado, and they cite a couple of reliable sources. It's a really good article.
And I've read and watched a lot of documentaries and read a lot about the making of albums. This is the best account of the making of an album I've ever read. And it's not just because I'm so in love with the album and the people. It's just a great account and a great story. I want to read a bit of a paragraph.
Yeah.
It says, and that's why I'm looking over here, folks. I'm not watching cartoons. It says, the bass and drums chemistry on this piece. So they were referring to Sound Chaser, if I remember right. Yeah. The bass and drums chemistry on this piece and the whole album is unparalleled. Chris Squire says, I think what Alan and I played on Relayer was more to the point. Some of the bass and drums interaction on there is better than anything to be found on previous Yes LPs. Alan White says, we were working in the studio and doing quite a lot of crazy stuff. I had this rhythm that I've been playing for a while, and Chris came up with the initial lick to go with it. Then Steve, the three of us, started working on putting it all together. The idea of speeding up and slowing down took a long time to get right. I mean, it has to be done perfectly. But when you've been playing together for so long, it's easy to switch from one tempo to another tempo almost immediately. The idea was behind the feeling of being in a car, going down the freeway and changing gears. We tried to do that with the music, and it was an interesting concept. It is an interesting concept. I can't think of another song where the tempo slows down and then slows down more, then speeds up, and then speeds way up, and then speeds up again, and then comes right back down. It's really cool to play, and it's, for some crazy reason, the second song I decided to play on my tribute to Alan on Drum Talk TV the other day. Short of Silent Wings of Freedom was the first song because I felt that's where he is now.
Yeah.
It's a great story, folks. You got to read this article if you're at all a fan of the band Alan or that album.
Yeah, it's a great article. It even has a bit about Vangelis and his audition, which
That's right.
We'll bring up that quote when we talk about him on Saturday noon Pacific, because of course he also
recently passed.
Yeah, but I posted that in the comments, and I guess moving on with some of these other quotes from Yes members, past and present. So John Anderson said, "My best man at my wedding to Janie in Maui, 1997. We love you and will miss you. You were just the best of the best for Yes and wonderful soul. We wrote Turn of the Century together all those years ago. Just one of so many wonderful times together. And yeah, that is a really interesting fact. For Turn of the Century, I was looking this up. Alan came up with the song's chord sequences on piano and also wrote like the initial vocal melody.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Alan was a true musician. He really was.
Yeah, for some reason, like people might not expect the drummer to come up with some of the like stuff for softer songs, but he contributed to this in that sense, and it's also in the presence of where he played piano, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and sort of in that era, Rick Wakeman mentioned that during the Going for the One tour, the two of them like played racquetball and bought the finest rackets that they could before arriving in each city, and would organize 2 to 3 hours at a club to play before heading off, seemingly fitter but also somewhat knackered to sound check.
And Billy says, Alan was my inspirational North Star and remains my favorite drummer. I first saw him playing live with Yes in 1977. It was the Going for the One tour. We had Billy on recently too, like very shortly before a week before this or something, right? It was a week and a day before this. Anyways, like yeah, he says, as I watched in awe, I took careful notice of his attire. Stan Smith tennis shoes, wristbands, headband, etc. The next day, I went out and got those same items in hopes I could channel the magic that came from his playing. That spirit has never left me. It lives in me now and always will. And for those of you who don't know, Billy Sherwood, his first instrument is drums, and he still plays and records drums on sessions.
Yeah, for sure.
His mother was a drummer. That was his inspiration. Him, Bill Bruford, and Alan.
Yeah, Wayne Sims in the comments says, don't forget to mention us drummers here in the UK.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, like some of our favorite drummers are from the UK, Alan among one of them. Yeah. And both of the Trevors had good things to say. So Trevor Horn said, when I got Alan to tune in his drums up high on Owner of a Lonely Heart, he never complained even when his crew were horrified. It was Alan who thought of playing the mad big band sample triplets in the middle of Owner. We all laughed so much that day. All the great drum machine programming on the song Leave It was done by Alan. And Trevor Rabin said, over decades of being close, we never had an argument. And
wait, I want to jump in with that. Because I happen to personally know that Trevor had gotten into shouting matches with at least one other member. So for him to say that carries even more weight. The fact that it wasn't Alan and they never had an argument.
Yeah, and that's that's a common thread I've seen with some of these tributes is that Alan would never get into these arguments, at least not as intensely as like we've heard like all these other guys in the band over the years.
He was kind of like Yoda, sitting in the corner just waiting for it to calm down, and then brought the wisdom to it to bring it all back together again.
Yeah, I vaguely remember some interview where he was like, I sometimes feel like I have to be the diplomat, sort of in the middle of things. But he got along with everyone pretty much, and he was just an all-around good guy. Yeah. And one of the photos we have is of a couple of drumsticks. So that was all actually shared by Oliver Wakeman, who said...
And Oliver's the only person that had something bad to say about Alan. Just kidding.
No, not even.
Just kidding.
He says, these are the sticks that Alan gave me, and they've been in my studio on display since I left the band. And so in the photo, they're like above the From a Page record, which Oliver also posted about how he was listening to the song The Gift of Love and just thinking about how it was him and Chris and Alan just working together. I guess it brought back those memories, and I've sung the praises of that song before, obviously, but just it's such an emotional, well done piece of music, and to have those drumsticks, it's just, what a, it's a nice reminder of a good friend, someone who is like this big brother to other people who came and went in the band.
Yeah. Here's Yes in Rome on a previous
Oh yeah.
tour at the end of the show with the audience behind them.
Yeah, so that was in 2016. That was actually the last show that Alan played fully. It was actually
Right.
6 years ago yesterday, June
Oh,
1st.
wow. Before Dylan and before Jay.
Yeah. Um, and looking at the further quotes, Jeff Downs said that they had great laughs together. And we became very close and always looked after each other to the point where they started referring to us as the odd couple. That's pretty funny. John Davison says, I'm eternally grateful to Alan and his wonderful wife Gigi for the immediate warmth and kindness they showed me when I first joined the band. Top class and genuine people. Alan was not only the beating heart of Yes, but lived and loved straight from his huge heart. I will miss you, my brother, my hero. I'm so much the better for having known you. Godspeed on the silent wings of freedom. Yeah, like you said, on the silent wings of freedom is where we think he is now. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a picture of Alan. I'm not sure if that's when he joined Yes or prior. I think he might have still been with John Lennon there. It's hard to tell.
Maybe it definitely feels 70s,
Oh yeah, it's
but like
definitely.
that's a wide range though. So I guess that's
Yeah,
not
well, it's
helpful.
definitely either right before he joined Yes or the year he joined Yes. He doesn't have the two uh, timbali type drums that he had on Yes songs, so I'm pretty sure that's with John Lennon right before Yes. Then I want to
Okay.
show one other one with another favorite drummer and someone that we had on the show a month ago. That's Wreak Havoc in the Middle with Bill Bruford with Alan.
Oh yeah, yeah, a month and a half ago. Yeah, this photo was from a drum festival in Nova Scotia. From what I read, it sounded like it was the first one, which would have been 2001. And looking at them, that sounds about right, like
Yeah,
2001.
Bill was still out and about doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, any questions from you folks watching, or any other stories you want to share? Did you ever meet Alan at a NAM show, or he did many other events? He did a lot of charity work in Seattle. He moved away from West Hills, near where I was living and where I grew up, in probably 92 or 93, because it was, I remember, shortly before the Northridge earthquake, which was 94, and he had already moved back up to the Lake Washington area in Bellevue. Did a lot of charity work up there. Did you meet him at anything like that, or a clinic? Any favorite work you want to cite? Any favorite work or work you really admire that maybe doesn't often get mentioned? What would yours be in that area, Steve? What do you think would be one of the more obscure things that really shows off some great playing, but you hardly ever hear about it?
So if it were obscure, it'd probably be beyond Yes, right?
Or even with Yes?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. Because there are some things that, well, Douglas Reed says Alan and Chris spent countless hours together in the studios, and that reminded me of something that they did together, though I'm not sure if it's like the first thing I would think of in terms of drumming, but Run with the Fox, that Christmas single that
Yeah.
they did.
Yeah.
Um, like that one was fun. And, earlier I was thinking like, we've gotten all these box sets that, from different people. And I was thinking like, if there were ever a box set about Alan's career,
Oh,
like
wow. They should
what
do that.
tracks would be on there?
I would
Yeah.
have to say you'd have to go through all those bands we've mentioned: John Lennon, John with Yoko, George Harrison, Eric Clapton,
Right.
Joe Cocker, and of course you got to include that recording that we used last year on his birthday video which is what became Mind Drive, that rhythm with him, Chris Squire, and Jimmy Page in
Yeah,
Demos for
just
XYZ.
yeah, just throwing all the XYZ demos as like bonus tracks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, something like that. I guess it would like have to, the timing would have to be right, like you don't want it to feel like a cash grab and the White family would have to be comfortable with it. But
Yeah,
sometime down the line, like something like that would be neat.
it
Maybe
would.
even like maybe even do a tribute album like to Alan, like what they did for Chris a few years back in 2018.
Yeah.
And you could have like all these different people that he knew or who inspired him,
I,
or
I
whom he inspired rather,
yeah.
do covers and like honor him, but also throw in bits of their own thing.
Yeah, I think the work he did on bits of both Steve Howe's first two solo albums don't get enough attention,
Oh yeah,
and to a lot of people may be quite obscure, especially people more your age than people my age or older. And even my people my age or older that are true Yes fans might not have gone down that solo album road, but the work that he did on both of those albums are great. With Yes, I think some obscure stuff that might not get enough attention is, I gotta say, The Ladder and Open Your Eyes. And Steve and I happen to be big fans of Open Your Eyes, and The Ladder, which is the same lineup, is even a whole nother large leap upward and forward from that. And I love that album. There's some great music all around, let alone if you were to just look at, the drumming. There's a lot of obvious stuff.
yeah,
There's
new
a,
language.
yeah, there's a lot of obvious stuff, but stuff like New Language, The Messenger, with the reggae beat and all of that. Just, he was so versatile.
Yeah, Wayne Sims says Alan White was a brilliant drummer, and yeah, we agree like
We agree.
200%. Yeah. Oh, he was. Yeah, Dreamtime is another one that has like really great drumming on it.
And also, The Spirit of Survival. I love that. He is so
Yeah.
forceful on that and mixes in perfectly as a drummer playing with an orchestra. It's like the orchestra is his backup band on that album.
Yeah, definitely. And I kind of well, I'll get to these other band member comments in a moment, but I was just thinking, we know that Yes are like have been working on another album, and we had Alan on The Quest, but I wonder if we might hear a bit more contributions he may have recorded for this next one.
That's
possibly.
right. Billy said that Billy couldn't say that much when we interviewed him a couple of weeks ago, but we did ask them about what they're working on. And we know that we're working on something. So that's a great point.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see for that.
Yeah.
But,
I'll read a couple of these if that's all right.
All right, yeah. Yeah,
I'll
so
read
it's from Jay onward.
Oh, we read Jeff?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah. Really? Where was I?
Yeah.
Okay. And John Davison too? Wow, you're right. Of course we did. I was looking at that picture trying to figure out the year. Jay Shellen says, his call to me in 2016 meant the world to me. I don't have the words to describe how it's touched me, changed me. I've learned so much by his side, sharing the stage and family that is Yes. Jay's been around them for a very long time, and of course has played with them for the last few outings. Tony K says, Alan will be missed by all, but rock's greatest rhythm section is now together, Chris and Alan. You know what? It's always been Chris and Alan and John Bonham and John Paul Jones. Chris and Alan on the progressive side, and John Bonham and John Paul Jones. And before people jump in with Neil and Getty and all these others, Ian Pace and Roger Glover, who I just love, there's so many others, but those two pairs, I think, are at the top of representing, what a lot of people would go to, whereas any other band had gone through so many changes, other than Rush, so I think that's fair to say, but Tony's right.
Yeah, and who knows, maybe Peter Banks would be jamming with them
I thought
wherever they
about
are
that
as
earlier
well.
today. Yeah.
Yeah. And we got this one from
And
Steve.
Keith.
Sorry?
And Keith Emerson. Alan was great friends with Keith.
Oh, yeah, he was. Yeah.
He was late to an interview. In fact, I have the photo. He was late to this interview because he was with Keith.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Go ahead.
So,
Sorry.
yeah, no, you're good. You're good. And Steve Howe said he gave so many of his best years to the band and was a true believer and determined professional till the very end. Being a kind and loving human being just came naturally to him, with his mellow, non-confrontational personality and abundant generosity, which made him so popular with his friends and everyone he met. And yeah, Alan really did give pretty much 50 years to Yes. Like, what a
Who
life.
holds a job that long? Seriously.
Yeah, and I know that like it would have been nice if he'd been able to do either of these upcoming tours. Like we know they're doing Close to the Edge in June in the UK and Ireland and in Japan in September, and they're doing Relayer for like other places afterward. But like it's sort like it's really sad that he couldn't do those. But at the same time, I think we shouldn't like undersell his contributions to the Royal Affair tour, which ended up being his actual last tour, and all the tours before that, obviously.
Yeah.
And Yes have said that they're dedicating their upcoming Close to the Edge 50th anniversary tour to Alan. So,
And I've been wondering what that means. I'm sure they'll probably show a film of him, a montage before they come on, I'm guessing.
Right, because with Chris, they had I think it was Rickenbacker.
Yeah, they had his
on the
4001 Rickenbacker. Yeah,
with,
lit up on a spotlight.
Yeah, with the song Onward playing, because he wrote that. I think at some point they did Time and a Word as a tribute to Peter Banks. So who knows what they could do here. Like,
I'd say on the Silent Wings of Freedom would be great.
Oh, yeah. Imagine if okay, I don't want to set myself up for disappointment, but imagine if they opened the show with that, like the track is playing alongside to a montage of Alan, and then like the montage finishes and the band itself plays on the Silent Wings of Freedom for the first time in forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would that be the first time since the second Tormato tour?
It would, yeah.
Yeah, since 79.
Yeah, because they've only played little bits of it in Whitefish every now and then.
Right.
And so yeah, like no matter what the set list is, though, like I know we've like debated back and forth over like which album they should do or whatever, but I'm at a point where I'm just like, just honor Alan, you know, and it sounds like they're gonna do that. And with John touring with John Anderson with the Paul Green Rock Academy doing Close to the Edge in July on the East Coast, I hope they pay tribute to Alan as well. And of course, I'm sure the tribute bands that we've heard of and talked to and about are honoring Alan as well. And I want to mention a few different tribute things are going on, I guess. Okay. So on June 21st, there's this event organized by John Kuhn, it seems like. It's called the Alan White Memorial Fan Celebration Pre-Show Gathering. And this is happening in London.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and this is before a Yes show at the... Okay, so the description says, Yes fan gathering at the old Lucky Horseshoe Cafe where Yes began. Location of the Yes plaque, now the Wildwood Restaurant, the Seven Dials area of London, the corner of Shaftesbury Avenue and Monmouth Street. So yeah, I think this is before a Yes show. I'll go ahead and paste this event in the comments and include it in the podcast episode description as well. And we've also got, so Miguel Falco has been doing this thing annually called Play for Chris. Ever since Chris Squire's passing, there's been this sort of, people sending in their tributes to Chris. And he posted a message over at miguelbase.com saying, it has been brought to my attention by some of my dear patrons and friends in the social media the will to participate this year's edition of Play for Chris, also in the loving memory of Alan White, who sadly passed away on May 26th. Play for Chris 8 will be named after Alan White, and you may additionally dedicate your contribution to Alan, Chris's lifelong musical partner. Likewise, Words for Chris will be extended as Words for Chris and Alan, so you can express your feelings for Chris and or Alan in your spoken video message. And it says,
That's awesome.
and it says, please send by July 31st at the latest. Videos between 30 and 90 seconds. So yeah, I'll post this link in the comments as well.
Cool. We should participate in that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Let me see what else. Earlier today, Mike Tiano posted something else reviews article that he wrote about, memories of Alan White, interviewing him and talking about the Beatles, because before Yes, the Beatles was like a huge thing for Alan, and so like that huge connection, and just you can imagine like someone like Mike who loves Yes and the Beatles would just like geek out on that sort of stuff. And it's a really great article. It's some really cool memories that he shared.
Cool.
So I'll paste that as well. And yeah, I'm trying to remember if there's like anything else, but like obviously there have been like so many tributes to Alan, like from other musicians outside of Yes. I saw Carl Palmer wrote one, Mike Portnoy, Jimmy Hahn, and just so many other people. If you go to the Alan White Facebook page, like lots have been shared there. I know our friends at Yes Music Podcasts are talking Alan, and obviously many fans across all the different groups have been paying tribute to him. Yeah. It's just, it's just, I'm just glad that he's remembered, Yes is such a, I know everyone says this, but it's the soundtrack to my life. It's inside my head. I can access it easily. And, since I can just think of a Yes song from beginning to end, it's like Alan is always there for the ones that he played on, and he played on most of them. So it's like, he's just still always here in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's still, weighing heavy. It's still new. It's still a process. And, I feel for those who were even, much closer to Alan, of course, right. Gigi and the family, but the fellow bandmates and people that were with Alan pretty much day in and day out, and people who spent years working with him. It's just, it's heavy.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. So folks, thank you. If you're watching the archive, please, or listening to the archive, please go ahead and chime in with your favorite anything having to do with Alan. And Steve will also put in the link to the tribute I did playing a few days ago on Drum Talk TV for about 2 hours. Out of the 2 hours and 40 minutes, I probably played 2 hours and 25 minutes of that time. 15 minutes of that's probably a little bit of talking between songs. So there's how many were there? Like 14 songs, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And obviously, like, we're going to keep talking about Alan, since he was so involved in Yes throughout most of their history, he'll definitely come up in conversation. And we're still planning on talking about his solo album Ramshackled,
which we had planned already, because we're doing a series on Yes members' solo albums. So we already had a date for that, which is
June 14th.
Yes, his birthday, of course.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's at 7 p.m. Pacific that
Yes.
day. But there'll also be something else before that, which we'll announce on the next one, which we'll do on Vangelis. But yeah, that'll be an interesting album to talk about. I listened to it earlier today, and I'll give it at least another listen before we talk about it that time. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks everybody so much for following what we do and remembering and honoring Alan with us. I think I'm just at this point a little lost for words.
Right.
I don't know what else to say. So thank you everybody. And thanks for propping it all up, Steve, with the weird, rough audio beginning on my end. I don't know how that setting got changed.
Yeah, no, it's like at least we figured it out. Like this is always going to be difficult to do. I just didn't expect that technical reasons would be one of the reasons. But yeah, we were able to, pay tribute to Alan proper, talking about it here and also you playing it on Drum Talk TV. And he's still with us in a sense.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody. We will see you soon. Thank you.